Not too long ago, I made a video called the hardest Sonic games I have ever played. I really enjoyed making that video because in total honesty, I miss that kind of challenge I experienced in these games. I miss having to replay levels over and over again to hopefully manage to beat them. And no, I'm not being sarcastic. Sonic games offered up a certain level of difficulty that at a time was actually really desirable to me. Mind you, I'm not really a big fan of super hard games. Even though they are fun, I likely won't be playing them for very long. That said though, I can say the same thing for a game that is too easy. Playing video games that don't challenge me at all becomes massively boring. Although it may have its appeal for a while, it won't be a game that I pick up and play on a frequent basis. So in today's video, I want to talk about a couple of Sonic games that I found to meet, or at least come close to that criteria. That said though, if the game is on this list, don't think that I'm saying that it's bad. I just think that it might be a pretty easy video game. No conclusions need to be jumped to. Anyway, before we tip off in today's video, it would be really nice if you guys remember to hit that like and subscribe button. It would help me out exponentially. That said though, let's get into it. Let's start off with one of the easiest Sonic games I've ever played. I want to talk a bit about Sonic Colors. Now, the gameplay I will be showing you is from the game Sonic Colors Ultimate, but that said, ever since its initial release back in 2010, I found this game to be simple, easy, and very straightforward. Mind you, I was never great at video games, especially at around 8 years old. And that said, I finished Sonic Colors Ultimate in one sitting at that age and had a great time doing it. Granted, I'm no completionist or anything, so the red star rings went completely uncollected, and to be totally honest, I have no desire to go back and get them. That said though, I don't know how much work goes into collecting them, but even still, the base game isn't hard. That doesn't make it any less fun though. Going through levels unlocking new Wisp to use is actually quite enjoyable. Normally, I'm not a fan of the Wisp, but in this game, I think they are done so well. I think I say this because a lot of the time, I don't think you absolutely have to use them. Most of the time, you can use them to get to areas you couldn't reach before, or if you want to get to your destination faster. Nowadays, the Wisps feel a lot more forced, and I feel like a lot of the later titles rely heavily on them. Sonic Colors allows you to get levels done in more ways than just one, which makes it a fun experience, even for those who are not skilled at the game. If you wanted to, you could just follow the usual route of the level and just get through it, but if you wanted to explore or challenge yourself, you could use the Wisp to get the red star rings and other collectibles that Sonic Colors Ultimate provides, like the park tokens. Sonic Colors as a whole isn't what I would say is my favorite Sonic game, as it doesn't even crack my top 5. That said though, I do believe it is a good game for those who are truly inexperienced with the Sonic the Hedgehog games and their playstyle. One of my personal favorite games is Sonic Unleashed, and I feel like when you compare these two in terms of difficulty, you will find Unleashed to be much more challenging as a result. Not to mention, Sonic Colors is known to be a 3D Sonic game, but I, as well as many others, have a hard time accepting it as such. Colors has a lot of 2D sections, and I feel like these aren't any harder than the 3D. Actually, a lot of the Wisp are only available in the 2D sections, making it that much easier. The Spike Wisp and the Drill Wisp can really make it easier for the player, as you can just kind of use these Wisps to either drill through the ground, or you can use the Spike Wisp and jump and attach to ceilings, and in turn, cut portions out of a level. You know what? Now that I think about it, a lot of the Wisp in this game makes it a lot easier than it would have been without them. One of my personal favorite Wisps, Frenzy, is pretty much invincible and decimates nearly everything in its path. I know this is by design and the levels were specifically created in this way, but it doesn't make it any less easy. Some levels are Wisp reliant, and if you use them like you are instructed, the game is very easy to understand. That said though, I believe this is a good game, although I'd probably like it a lot more if it offered a bit more of a challenge. I think the latter half of that statement is true for pretty much every single Sonic game on this list. Although, let's move on and talk about another Sonic game that I found to be relatively easy, and that game is Sonic Lost World. Now, at first glance, I wasn't sure that including Lost World on this list was a wise idea, considering the learning curve for this game is vastly different from plenty of other Sonic games made around that time. But as I continued to think it over, I came to the conclusion that even though its fundamentals are different from other boost-related games, I still didn't find it to be all that challenging. That said though, I still did have a lot of fun with the game. I believe there are a lot of levels that have some really great ideas and music to support. Sure, the boss battles weren't my favorites, and same applies to the story, but I do think that the gameplay isn't as bad as many people make it out to be. Lost World has levels unlike anything we've ever seen in the Sonic franchise before, and to be totally honest, I doubt we'll ever see them done like this again. To me, Lost World's visual presentation reminds me a lot of the Super Mario series. Take that as you will. Moving on, let's talk about what makes the gameplay so easy. Even though it is unique and distinct from other Sonic titles, this game is still much easier than it initially looks. A lot of the levels are curved and have warped planes. Most Sonic games either have regular 2D sections or flat 3D ones, but nearly every level in Sonic Lost World is as if you were running on a cylinder. So the basic gist is to find a way to get to the cylinder's endpoint. A lot of the time you can just keep moving forward and reach the spring at the end of each section. Yeah, you could try to find other ways to get to the end, like using parkour or finding different passageways, but I often found that to waste more time than it would to just take the straightforward route. Like I said, the learning curve here is different from other Sonic games before and after it. Lost World gave Sonic a parkour feature where he could run on walls, trees, and even up on ledges. This was a really neat feature that I do believe should be implemented in some form in the future of Sonic games. But in all honesty, it doesn't help its case in trying to be a hard game. Honestly, at first I did find the parkour feature to be kind of difficult to learn, so that's something, but after a few levels I got the hang of it and the game was made simple yet again. The hardest thing about this game in my opinion are the boss battles with Zavok, which I actually do believe are pretty challenging, but after a while they can become pretty easy. The whole game is pretty okay in my opinion. I hardly ever play it now, and that's kinda because it doesn't really feel like a Sonic game to me. Sonic is about speed and adventure, and in this game I don't feel either of these aspects. Some levels I found to be pretty fun though, like Honeycomb Highway, and of course the Legend of Zelda level, but that's just because of the novelty of it. I do have to admit that the music in this game is top tier though. Other than that, Lost World is a game that I don't think is terrible by any stretch of the imagination, I just don't believe it gives much of a challenge. Sure, it had its moments where it showcases some difficulty, but when it does, it's in small and pretty rare doses. That said, I would like to move on to the final Sonic game I'm going to talk about in today's video, and I really do believe it's worth talking about because it's one of the easiest Sonic games that comes to mind, Sonic Forces. At this current point in time, you've probably heard many people, myself included, talk about Sonic Forces in a variety of different capacities. Some people love to rant and rave about how bad this game is. Conversely, others praise the game saying that it's no worse than Sonic Colors. Then of course you have a middle ground. The people in the middle don't hate Sonic Forces, but they don't necessarily love it either, or like it at all. I'd like to say that I probably fall somewhere in that category, the middle ground category. And the reason for me providing that small little breakdown is simply because this game is way too easy. The reason I'm in that middle ground category is because I want more of a challenge. Modern Sonic's levels are very short, and I feel like just when I begin to get somewhat invested in them, they're over. Nonetheless, modern Sonic has very straightforward levels, with them being, as everyone loves to say, quote-unquote, linear. And to be totally honest, as much as I may hate to say it, they're right. These levels can be easily solved with just pressing one button or just holding the direction going forward. This is quite possibly the biggest gripe of the game. Sonic games in general are pretty direct. Getting to the end of the level is just heading forward. However, it's the obstacles, curves, and various different ways to reach that end that make them truly stand out. Throughout modern Sonic's gameplay in Sonic Forces, I have a hard time actually trying to label and understand what exactly those obstacles were in my way, preventing me from finishing the level. Then of course you could say that the prohibitors are the robots and even the platforming at times, but even still I would have to say I disagree, because with the press of one button those points seem to become invalid. In this game, I found it very easy to maintain the boost gauge at a high level, and even when I lost it, I could gain it back quickly in a number of different ways. I really don't want to sound like I'm bashing this game, because I'm not. I honestly and truly hate bashing anything because it kind of prohibits other people from being honest with themselves if they actually enjoy it. That said, however, I believe this must be pointed out in order for me to properly articulate what I believe makes Sonic Forces an easy game. Moving on, I would like to discuss the custom heroes levels. Now, these levels are interesting because they rely primarily on whatever Wisp you're using. With that in mind, I think the difficulty of the level depends on which Wisp you're using. Actually, I'm not really sure if difficulty is the right word in this sense. It's truly about how much time you spend. Certain Wisp delay further progression, while others speed you up or don't stop your pace. Now, the ones that speed you up I find to be much more on the rare side because some Wisp are better than others in certain levels. Personally, I found the burst Wisp to be the most effective, so that's why a lot of the gameplay I'm showing has the aforementioned Wisp on. That aside though, the custom hero has levels similar to Sonic, having 3D as well as 2D sections. Of course, the custom hero lacks a boost, so the Wisp on is a substitute, so his levels are highly reliant on Wisp use. Then there are the levels where you play as both the custom hero and Sonic, which is not too often. These levels are just a combination of the two playstyles in which you swap back and forth between the two. Nothing too crazy. The last character I'm going to speak of is Classic Sonic. I believe that Classic Sonic has the hardest levels in the entire game, and I think they're hard because Sonic feels a bit floatier than he normally should be while jumping, making the platforming a bit more challenging. That said, I found some of his levels to be more tedious than anything. Even still, the majority of Classic Sonic's levels are pretty easy. These games I found to be pretty easy because when it comes to difficulty in video games, I really believe it comes down to two things. These two things may only apply to me specifically, but I know a game is difficult when I either know exactly what to do but not how to do it, or I just don't know what to do at all. I am a big fan of trial and error in video games. Games like Sonic Unleashed are precisely my cup of tea. I also just really want to end by saying that, again, these are all my opinions. I think that all of these games have their place in the Sonic series, and of course, I just wanted to remind you all that just because the game is easy doesn't mean it's bad. What's going on, guys? I just wanted to thank you all so much for sticking around to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. But anyway, I just wanted to ask you all, what is the easiest Sonic game you have ever played? Let me know in the comment section down below. I really want to check out your responses. But anyway, I want to move on to thank my amazing channel members. Thank you all so much for supporting me and my channel. You guys are truly the best motivators. Every day I wake up praising the Lord for amazing people like you guys. Y'all make me so thankful. If you are interested in becoming a member of my channel, there will be more information in the link in the description down below. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. This is SONICSTA signing out. Have a super blessed day, y'all.
Why are you playing that trash?